Louisa.
Cody.
Welcome everyone to the 5-year plan.
I'm Louisa Jones.
And I am Cody Grimsey.
Thanks, Cody. It's great to have you here.
I'm so excited. I've been looking forward to this all week.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah.
It's a real treat to come and sit in this studio with you
Yes.
and our guests.
Yeah, it's a funny one because I like catching up with you. I do feel like our dynamic has changed a little bit recently just because every time you start talking to me, you say something interesting and I'm like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck. Sorry, that sounded really aggressive. I'm like, shh, save it for the podcast.
Yeah, but sometimes I feel like I'm getting on a roll telling you a story and you're like, no.
Yeah.
And it does hurt me a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. And then I'm like, Louisa, stop telling me interesting stories outside of the podcast.
Yes.
Let's try and monetize this as if we are getting paid.
Absolutely, yes.
And 2, just tell me boring stories.
Yeah.
Or tell me stories that are too controversial.
That's
please.
what I linked to straight away. So this morning when we met for coffee first and you had
Gotta
stopped me.
stop doing that.
Yeah, we got to.
Let's have coffee after.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then if we've burnt through all the topics during podcasting, we can sit together in silence.
Yeah, and that's kind of nice, I think, that we've got to that stage where like, oh, we both know everything.
Yeah.
But this morning you'd stopped me, I reckon, 4 times from 4 things I wanted to tell you.
They were very interesting.
Yeah. And do you know what? I reckon we forgot half of them too. Anyway.
We're trying to recreate it.
Yeah. So then I decided, well, that's fine. I'll just tell you like tea that couldn't go on the podcast anyway. So I was thinking of everything controversial I know that named someone.
Yeah.
But then I don't think that brought out the best in me before a podcast.
Yeah, too much negativity.
Yeah.
We're encouraging toxic gossiping.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's interesting that instead of just going to silence, I went toxic straight
That's
away. Like
funny.
it didn't take me much.
Yeah, twist my arm.
Yeah.
I do love a gossip.
Oh,
I love
me
a gossip.
too.
And actually, I like to think that I'm pretty good at keeping secrets, but I like to retain all the information. I like to know everything about everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm a gossiper, but I like hanging out with a gossiper.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think you're necessarily a gossiper.
Thank you.
There's people in the community who tell me things. I get told a lot of things. They should not be telling me things.
You do have a trusting face, though. You think like, oh, yeah, I could trust this guy. I think I've probably told you a lot too.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I don't like to think of myself as a gossiper, but I do think that venting is a very important part of the world and things to do. So I often, especially at work, I'll reframe it as like, this is a vent, not a gossip. But is that true? I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it depends the subject. Are you talking about someone who works in the office or not?
Yep. Often if I feel they've wronged me.
Yeah, sure. Yep.
And often they're higher than me.
Yeah, okay, so you're bonding.
Yeah. Oh, that doesn't make me sound very good anyway. Maybe we should move on to a more positive topic that I wanted to talk to you about this morning and you shut down very quickly. This is a callback to your episode. You're talking about running more. You've signed up for a run.
I have.
Yeah.
You have as well, right?
No.
I've been trying to get you to sign up for it.
Do you know what I did do, though, is you messaged me saying you should do this. I realised it was less than 12 weeks away and I did all the math of how much training I'd have to do. I paid $80 to download the couch to 10K and used it once.
Yeah. You know what? You know what was very funny about that interaction to me is I signed up. Okay, my wife is having a baby in the start of August. So I'm like, I want a exercise goal that I can use to motivate me to get out of bed and do some running, which I haven't done yet, even though I signed up 3 weeks ago. But I'm like, okay, looked up fun runs in the area that were before the baby is due.
Yes.
And I signed up for this. I wanted to do the half marathon, but they were full. So I just did the 10K, which is probably good in hindsight. And then
Still a long way.
Messaged you. Trying to I just assumed that I would be able to, influence you into signing up as well. And then
I give that vibe? That I'm easily influenced?
I don't know, because I think you shared with me that you also enjoy running.
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily thinking I'll necessarily run the whole thing.
Oh,
maybe I'll do
okay.
some walk jogs as well.
Oh, maybe I'll be in for it then.
Yeah, but I love, as soon as I told you to sign up for it, your response was, let me see what this app tells me. If the app, and then you're like, oh no, computer says no.
Because it said I'd need 12 weeks to go from the couch to 10K.
Why do you feel the need to get some sort of insight of this computer? Why can't you just go, yeah, I can do that?
Yeah. I think because I didn't trust that I could do that.
Yeah,
I
okay.
needed the app to tell me. I need an app to wake me up in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny though.
But now I'm thinking about that. I should have just maybe believed in myself.
I like that I didn't use the app. And then as soon as you told me that information, I'm like, oh, maybe I'm not ready either then.
But if we're both not ready together, whereas I think you're still regularly running, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, no, absolutely not. I haven't ran for like a year. I've been swimming a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but because I was sick heaps recently, like just cold and flus and things. So I'm going to get back into it this week, but just starting really gently.
Yes.
Walk jogs for maybe 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off.
Well, that's what I did on the treadmill after our conversation, and I sent you a sweaty face selfie.
Treadmills are bad for shin splints. You shouldn't run on a treadmill.
Oh, no.
Do you get shin splints?
I don't think so. I don't think I've run enough to get shin splints.
Every time I run on the treadmill, I get shin splints. It's probably because I'm 130 kilos, they say. You'll be fine.
Well, I'm not that far off that. Okay. Okay. I'll have to have a think about that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to run in the wild.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I think that'll be fun. It's fun. Well, it's funny too because I'm one of those people like leading up to an event like this. I'm like, let's just run together. Let's just have fun. You know, I'll run at your pace. You run at mine. Whoever's slower.
Yeah.
And then the gun goes off.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
you dust me.
See you, Louisa. We'll see you at the finish line.
Yeah. And there'll be you with like a camping chair and like 3 coffees because that's how long you've been waiting.
That's funny. Or you'll just get a text message at the end like, sorry, I had to go home.
Yeah, I waited as long as I could.
I reckon that would happen though. Like I'd run off and then, you know, like the turtle and the hare. I'm not calling you a turtle, certainly. And I wouldn't be the hare in this scenario. But like, I reckon...
I think things were made. Yep, okay.
I think like I would go off and then you'd probably have a more steady pace. And I reckon by the 6K you'd catch me.
It's pretty easy to be steady when you're walking.
Yeah.
So,
but you'd pass me, I reckon, and I'd be like, Louise, wait for me. Would you wait for me? If I had have been that asshole at the start and went, see ya.
Yeah.
Would you still wait for me if you caught me at the 6K mark?
I reckon I would walk with you for a moment so that you got that feeling of like security. I've got a good friend here. Like maybe it's all going to be okay. And as soon as I felt like I had you comfortable enough, I'd be like, ooh.
Yeah, because I reckon you'd run with me for a little bit and then it'd be like, oh, you go on.
Yeah.
And most people would say, are you sure? But you'd be like, all right, see ya.
Which is my pattern now too. We've recently had an issue about that.
That's funny.
And I haven't moved on yet.
Yeah. I shouldn't have brought it up.
Thank you.
Raw.
That is very
Now you're
raw.
going to overcompensate. You'll be that annoying person.
Oh, and I was definitely trying not to be that.
Yeah.
You know when someone's like, no, thank you, and I've been trying recently to accept that. But we've had a situation where someone did a polite no thank you when they actually meant yes. And I am rocked to my core.
I try and do this thing lately. Like I'm doing this. I told you I started this new job. And
yes.
Our trainer, she's unbelievably awesome.
Yeah.
Like very charismatic and personal.
So weird. I didn't realize I was training you, but yeah.
Everyone loves her.
Yeah.
Side note, she's famous on TikTok, I think.
Ooh.
And we'll try and get on her as a guest at some point.
Yeah.
But she does this thing where she doesn't say sorry. And anytime anyone in her class says sorry, she's like, no, you're not. Why are you saying sorry?
Oh, I kind of like that.
It's cool. It's kind of influenced me a little bit lately. And like I'm trying not to say sorry as much.
Yes.
Because, for example, if someone asks you for something and you're like, someone asks you for something, you say, oh, sorry, I'm busy.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, sorry, I'm busy, I feel like we should be saying, sorry. No. Even then, we should be saying, no, I'm busy. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Why is it? Do you reckon it's a cultural thing?
Yeah, definitely. I have heard of the thing of where you reframe it to a thank you. Instead of sorry, I'm late, thank you for waiting. I like that.
It's funny, though, because sometimes I get confused between the words sorry and thank you.
Okay.
Especially in her class. So she'll help me with something. And instead of saying thank you, I'm like, oh, I think I'm not allowed to say thank you. So I say, cool.
Oh, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I like that. Yeah, good. Well, I did have a sorry issue this morning. Do you remember as we were leaving the cafe, I looked directly at another patron and said, thank you.
That's hilarious.
And she was so confused.
I didn't hear you say that to her, but I did get a weird look from her. Like, what the fuck did she just say to me?
Yeah, I realised halfway through what I was saying, but I just decided to fully commit.
That's so funny. That is hilarious.
Oh, I've had a rough day today.
I don't remember. My mind is not working very well today. But like, okay, we spoke about not catching up beforehand because we burned through so many good stories.
Yes.
How do you feel about a lull?
A what?
A lull in a conversation.
Oh, like a silence period. Better now.
Yeah.
I reckon I wouldn't deal with it that well a few years ago.
Probably not great for podcasting, having a lull, but I reckon if you're carpooling with someone and there's a lull,
I
love that.
Yeah, okay. I'm okay with that. It depends if it's a lull after like a really awkward comment or like the conversations just naturally come to a like, nice end.
Yeah.
But you know, if someone says something controversial and then there's a lull, I don't like that.
Yeah. Also, it's come to my realization that a lot of people don't like lulls as much as me because I was carpooling with someone and there was a big, probably a 10 to 15 minute lull before I dropped them off at their house.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I wasn't, my mind was do, 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 do. And then they got out of the car and later told me how uncomfortable that was. They're a male, I should say. It wasn't a gender thing.
Okay, yeah.
And they're like, that was awkward, that lull. And I'm like, was it? I didn't realise. I kind of enjoy no talking sometimes.
Oh,
but anyway.
That's nice. Let's not try that on the podcast, though. That can be for breakfast and coffees.
I thought you were about to do it after you said that.
I saw you wanting to do it, but I'm not committing. I'm not that committed to this.
Should we get into this?
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
Enjoy this episode. Very fun guest.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Bye. Welcome to the 5-Year Plan podcast. We are so lucky today to have a very special guest with us.
Who have we got today, Louisa?
Well, it's actually one of my guests that I contacted, so I'd like to fully take full responsibility for this before we even get into it because I'm so confident.
Oh, you might regret that at the end.
Oh, no, not even for a second. We have the incredible Berni Cooper with us. So Berni Cooper works in a very prominent Brisbane university. She is about to start a business that she's going to tell us all about today. She's got a master's in positive psychology. She's a coach. We are going to learn so much today. I'm so excited for us.
Nice to meet you, Berni. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. Hello. This is my first time being a guest on a podcast. I can't tell you how excited I am.
Oh, I was so happy that you were open to doing it and sounded excited about it because, you know, when you approach people about doing a podcast, sometimes it can feel like, sorry to bother you and would you mind? But you seem genuinely excited, so it was a treat to ask you.
Do you prefer to say coach or life coach?
I don't like life coach.
You don't like life coach?
No.
So what do you coach?
Oh, look, this is so hard trying to come up because people say, what sort of a coach are you?
Yeah.
And the best way I have of describing it is life coach. But life coaches have
a stigma.
Do you think it's because has Instagram ruined the word life coach? Do you think?
You know, maybe. And, you know, when I was studying, I remember asking someone if they knew of a good coach because I was looking for a coach.
Yes.
And they said, I'll do it. And I said, okay, and what sort of qualifications do you have? They went, I'm a life coach, and I've read that book, you know, the Blue Book, which is one of the books we had as our text. And I thought, that really doesn't sound to me like the kind of coaching that I want. I want somebody who has done courses, who's got a qualification, who I know that I'm in good hands with. And I think because it's so unregulated.
Yes.
And you're in a position of power.
Oh, yeah.
Because people tell you so much. It's such a privilege because you get to know people on such a deep level.
Yeah.
But it gives you power, and I think we have to there's a responsibility there.
Yes. Okay. So you're not abusing that responsibility. That's good to know. Because I think on Instagram some people are. That's very important. Well done.
Well, I hope not.
That's so funny.
And actually, I think we gave free coaching sessions out at an event here at the Comedy Club.
Oh.
Were you at that?
Yeah, I think I watched it. I don't think I was performing.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Beth Keane gave out some free counselling. Carolyn Alchin gave out career coaching.
Yes.
I gave out some coaching.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was for, the Corinne's.
Yeah, Multicultural Australia.
Thank you, Multicultural Australia.
They did
fundraising.
Yes, yeah. And it must be interesting then when you give out coaching sessions, if people come that don't know what to expect, what is like the first session of a coaching session like, especially for someone that maybe has won it and wasn't necessarily looking for it? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I tend to have a 20-minute phone call with people beforehand.
Yeah, that's
and I
good.
find out whether they've done any coaching before.
Yes.
Because I think one of the misconceptions is that we're going to do stuff for people.
Yes.
And we're not. It's about empowering people because this sounds a bit woo-woo maybe.
I love it, yeah.
But you've got the answer. You know what it is that you can do. And it's such a privilege to be coached because you get to talk about yourself.
Yes.
And you've got somebody really listening. And when somebody's listening so deeply, it's a bit like doing a podcast, I think.
Yeah.
And and reframing back to you what it is that you've said, or you might not have noticed that you were saying something that you thought was positive, but all your body language is going, this isn't good.
Yeah.
And to have someone reframe that back to you can be incredibly powerful.
Yes.
I've noticed that recently too, just even vocalizing the types of feelings that you're having. It's normally an inner monologue, but to actually vocalize it is like you're recognizing it kind of thing, and you're physically saying it brings it into more of an awareness than if you just think it kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, eh?
Oh, so a question for you. That emotional literacy is so important to well-being. How do you go beyond the mad, glad, sad? So if you say, I'm angry, how many more words do you have to be more really specific about the type of anger that you're feeling?
Well, recently I'm really into self-help books. I don't know if you get that vibe from me. But one of the books in particular I'm loving talks about being able to express that emotion so much more expressively in terms of not just happy or sad or angry, but using different words to, the book that I'm talking about. Louisa and I love this particular book, Resilience Project, and they talk about the different types of emotions and things that, you're feeling. And just being able to say it out loud is a very cathartic, experience to go, oh yeah, I am angry. Or I just picked a bad example.
Yeah.
I am jealous, not angry, I'm jealous, It's an interesting one.
Have you learnt a new word or a new emotion that you hadn't known before?
I'm sure that I have, but I reckon I've already forgotten.
It'll come up when you feel that emotion, probably.
Yeah, I'll message you after going, here are the words.
Yeah. I feel like I recently learnt the difference between jealousy and envy.
What's the difference?
I'm going to get it the wrong way. Like, envy is like you don't want that person to have it, and jealousy is you want it yourself, but you don't mind that they have it as well. Maybe I've butchered that. But I thought that was really interesting because you know how sometimes, or maybe it's the other way around.
It could be the other way
around.
Yeah,
sorry.
I don't know that I'd stake my life on it.
No, I think it is. Yeah, because you know how then I was reading and someone was like, oh yeah, I'm so jealous. But actually, no, jealous is the bad one. But you actually mean you're so envious.
I just thought of another word.
Oh, good.
That sounds so childish.
Yeah, I can't
just thought of another word. Inadequate.
Oh.
Yeah, so the feeling of me not being enough, I feel like that's often I feel like people would put that down to jealousy, but it's like, it's a separate feeling, I think, potentially.
Because it's more intrinsic. It's not about them, it's about you.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's a bit like a friend of mine, just kind of that different outlook. A friend of mine, we'd been at a thing together and there was somebody at the dinner table who was using all these big words that I didn't recognize.
Yes, okay.
And she was a psychologist.
Yeah.
I'm not a psychologist.
Yeah.
And so I went home and went, how come I don't know these words? And I looked them all up.
Yes.
And I was chatting to my friend and she said, my experience is completely different. She said, I thought, who is this person being so up themselves that they have to use all these big words? So I went immediately to, I don't know. And she went immediately to, who is this other person?
Yeah.
It's a bit like that inadequate.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's me to a T is, what's that big word mean? Often I can tell the vibe based on the context of what they're saying it is.
Yes.
Yes. But then if someone says, do you know what that word means?
Oh.
I'm like, yeah, I got the vibe.
Explain it.
Yeah.
And like envy, one of my favorite exercises in coaching is a few years ago, I was seeing a therapist who said to me, focus on you, what gives you joy? And I went, I don't know. I think so often we look at what we're doing for other people or with other people. So I went on this journey of reading books and listening podcasts and trying to find out how it is I find out what gives me joy now.
Yes.
And one of them I listened to said, pay attention to what you feel envious of. Because that's giving you a clue, because emotions are clues, right? They're signposts. That gives you a clue to something that you'd like to do or like to do more of or like to be.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating.
Yeah. Are you a fan of self-help books yourself?
How do you define self-help
Even
books?
self-help books has a bit of a stigma,
doesn't it? It's like life coach.
But I've kind of embraced it. I feel like I've always liked self-help books, in one way or another. But I feel like it's only recently I've started to say out loud in front of people, I like self-help books.
Yeah. But yeah, that's true. There's different kinds of them. See, I like them, but anyone that says they've got the definite answer, I kind of recoil from that. I'm not recoil.
Words
are hard.
It's a funny one. Like when I was late teenager or whatever, I got into The Secret, and then all these.
I remember that movie.
Yeah. Did you do it? Like, did you? Because there was like a practice, wasn't it?
And like, because I used to be a professional swimmer, I have to bring that up in every episode.
Yeah, and do you know he hasn't missed a single one yet?
Even back then, I used to do affirmations. Like,
but hang
day.
on. What was your biggest title for swimming?
Australian champion.
Yeah. Okay.
Wow. Really?
Let's have a moment for Australian champion.
I didn't know we were going to be in the presence of such fame.
Well, I don't like to warn people.
Yeah. But I loved affirmations, positive affirmations. I was a very big fan of the words become thoughts and thoughts become actions sort of thing. And even back then, I used to love self-help books. More recently, it's like Atomic Habits, which I haven't read, but I like the idea of. Sorry, that's ridiculous.
James Clear, he's pretty amazing.
I'm pretty keen to read that book.
Yeah, one day. So hang on, are you telling me that you read The Secret or watched The Secret movie or heard about The Secret before your swimming, so that your world championship, was that from, can you actually swim or did you secret your way there?
Yeah. It's just, thought, I didn't actually swim, I just sort of.
Yeah.
You
mentally.
thought it into being.
Yeah.
There's a study. I haven't been able to replicate this, and I probably should read it better. But I just love the idea of it, where people thought about exercising.
Yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah, and then their muscles responded as if they'd actually done the exercise.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be good.
Wasn't it? It was like a lady that laid on the couch watching aerobics. The one I heard.
That's even better.
Yeah, I hope she was eating as she did it.
Popcorn.
Yeah, because when I think about when I'm watching TV, I'm normally chewing. Like that's how you do it. And if you still got the results while chewing, that's amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah, that's the next secret. We need to somehow.
How did you get into coaching?
Good segue into being. How did I get into
How long
coaching?
have you been doing it for now?
How long have I been?
So many questions. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
okay. Actually, a very, very long time. So I was working at a Polytech in New Zealand years ago, and I was a learning advisor.
What is that word? Sorry? Polytech?
Polytech? Like TAFE.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
sure.
Yeah. Except they also do postgrad degrees and PhDs. And I was a learning advisor, so I'd have students come in to me and say, can you help me with my essay or my study skills? But often I found what was happening is they'd ask me for, does my essay have flow, or can you help me with my grammar? But it was so much more than that. Yeah. The Māori have a saying about how you come to learning when you're ready for learning. And so they'd come and say, look at my essay, but really they were saying, I feel inadequate.
Oh. Am I good enough?
Am I good enough?
Wow.
I'm scared. I don't know what I'm doing. Do I belong here? And so I found myself.
Yeah. But how amazing for them to go in thinking they need one kind of help and then for you to recognise what they actually need. That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's so often in professions, people come to you with what they think the problem is and what they think the answer might be.
Yes.
And then your job is not to do that because it's not what.
I love the idea of saying you're good enough, but your essay's shit, mate. Fix it.
Yeah. Well, I had one person who came in to me and she was one of those very kind of, her whole body language was down, she'd look down. She goes, I don't belong here, didn't even finish high school. Yeah. And her essay was shit. In the grammar, the sentence structure, the paragraphs, there was nothing there. The ideas were amazing. That ability, she had this ability to bring ideas together and make connections that were so sophisticated.
Yeah.
And I say to her, I'm not allowed to tell you this, but I think you're going to get an A or a 7 in this language.
Yeah.
And I'll help you with the structural stuff's easy.
Yes.
That's being able to make those connections. But it was there. I did an introduction to coaching there. It was one of those very formulaic ones. You get a card and you're supposed to follow these. But I did that and I just had this epiphany because when you start doing coaching, you hear people tell you their problem and you go, I know the answer. I know what this person should do. And the biggest thing in coaching is to not do that because what works for you might not necessarily work for Louisa.
Yeah.
And also people have to come to it themselves. And so that discipline of sitting back and asking someone questions and allowing them to come up with the answers, which is mind-blowing because often it's not what you think they should do. So I started using that coaching with my students.
Yes.
So rather than telling them, I'd use coaching techniques to enable them to get to a place where they were ready to then talk about the grammar and the flow and the, that kind of structural content-y stuff.
Yeah, I struggle with that even in relationships. Recognizing that this person just wants to talk to me about this.
Doesn't want you to fix it.
Yeah. It's so easy though. No, but definitely that's interesting. Hey, like active listening. And often people don't want you to just tell them what they should do.
Yes.
No, even if it's the right thing. We hate being told what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so interesting now. I mean, I think I knew it at the time too because we worked together for quite a few years. And I remember, and this sounds really self-obsessed, but every time I'd talk to you or we'd talk through something, I would leave that conversation feeling way better about myself. Like, oh, yeah, I figured that all out. And it's so interesting because now I think back, you were probably coaching me the whole time.
Was this pre you coaching though? Or?
No.
You were a coach already. Because I remember being really interested in that.
Yeah.
And I remember certain situations as well at different things where I'd be like, I think this might be the right thing to do. And you would you wouldn't tell me that it was, but you would sort of almost coach me through it. And in different situations where you go to someone else and they would just be like, yeah, do that. You'd leave going, oh, yeah, they told me what to do. But every time I'd leave a conversation with you, I'd feel so much more empowered and confident to then make the next decision.
Nice.
That kind of just clicked in my mind of what was going on. So, such an important skill to have and share in the world even when you're not officially coaching.
Well, it was so hard when I ended up setting up my coaching business and my first client that I had, I was so nervous. I went back and I reread a whole bunch of texts.
Yep.
All of a sudden, when I moved from doing it as part of my job or with people that I was talking to somebody giving me money for it, I felt that responsibility so keenly and I had absolute self-doubt. What am I doing with this person that is of value to them?
Yes.
And I found myself actually trying to give more advice than do proper coaching because I really wanted them to feel like they got value for money.
Yes.
Do you reckon that they could sense your nervousness or did you sort of... I'm assuming that only lasted the first few times or first few years.
Yeah, I still get it a little bit because, when the coachee or the person's being coached is in charge, it also depends on how much they're willing to lean in and bring to it and work on it. And I can't control that.
Yeah.
So I still often feel like if we get to an end of a coaching session and there hasn't been that aha epiphany, that's like the golden grail.
Yeah.
I go, oh my God, was that me? Was it because I wasn't good enough?
Yeah.
But it's funny though, the perspective as well. Like in these, I'm just thinking moments where I feel like I've not really connected with someone. But then they'll message me later and go, that was incredible. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, I felt like I wasn't really bringing my best today. And they're like, so it's funny like how we can have that self-judgment on our own, even just interactions.
Yeah.
And then it can be a completely different experience for someone else. Like,
and the mindset has to be, it's not about me, it's about them. And so getting out of that and really focusing on them.
Wow. We're only not that many minutes in and I feel like we've had a few epiphanies already.
Yeah.
Good, my job's done. Can I go?
No, thank you so much. Yeah, wow, what a time.
Yeah.
I just love the idea of Louisa coming to you at work because of the feelings that she feels after talking to you and you're just rolling the eyes going, not again. Louisa, see me after work. Okay.
Yeah, I need to be charging for this for sure.
That's funny.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So our podcast is called 5-Year Plan. So first of all, before we get into your 5-year plan, what is your relationship with planning? Like, being where you are now, has that involved a lot of planning or has it just occurred? Talk us through that.
My status is it's complicated.
Yes, okay. That's a good status.
I've never heard it used in this context.
Yeah.
Every year I buy the magic new notebook, you know, because it has to be new.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
and it's got to have nice feeling paper.
Yes.
You've got to have nice pens.
Yes.
And then I do all the planning and then I never look at it again.
Yes.
I do some tabs. I was so in awe of Terry Hansen.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Oh, if I could have that level of organisation, what could I achieve in my life?
I know, yeah. I look at lined books completely different now after that episode. But do you feel that because you've done that work, though, planning it out, that it's in your mind somewhere?
That's what I think.
Yeah.
This sounds so arrogant.
I can't wait.
Maybe it's actually related back to The Secret. I feel like once I've said something out aloud,
yes.
I don't do the planning steps to get there, but somehow I get there.
Oh, I love that. Because it's like you believe it's possible.
Or not. So about 6 or 7 years ago, I did a Women in Leadership program, and we had a coach as part of that. And we had to talk about our 5-year plan.
Yes.
And I went in feeling a little nervous. Inadequate, I think, has to be the theme of this. I was going to apologise, but maybe not.
No.
She said, so what do you want to do? I said, I can't actually say it out aloud.
Yeah.
Because it's just too far-fetched. I just can't say it.
Yeah.
And she said, no, come on, tell me about it. I said, but it may not work. And she didn't try to reassure me. She said, you're right, it may not work. But how will you know?
If you don't try.
Yeah. I just thought it was such a great question. In my head, here I was working at this huge university in Brisbane, Australia. I grew up on a farm in South Africa with no shoes, hand-me-down clothes. So like, who am I to say that what I want is to set up a positive psychology or wellbeing centre at the university? I wanted to have a research arm and a practice arm. I wanted a coaching business. I hadn't started that yet, and I wanted to do a PhD.
Wow.
That's what I wanted. I said it out aloud, and then those things happened.
Yeah.
Not quite as I said, but every one of those little bits happened.
Thinking in my head, knowing you, of like ticking things off as you said them and thinking like, that sounds like a pretty good strike rate.
But it was, when I said it, I thought, who am I? I can't.
That reminds me of that Marianne Williamson quote. Who am I? Who are you not to be?
Yeah.
You know, like I don't know. I'm going to butcher it if I try and say it right now. Maybe we'll just link it. But you know the one.
Just move your mouth and then we'll put the words in over the top.
It's such a good one. But anyway, it's basically saying, who am I? Who are you not to be? You know, we're scared of our own successes. We're not scared of our failures sort of thing. But anyway.
Yeah, I love that.
Actually, I did do that justice.
Well done. Yep. Marianne would be so proud of you.
You know what? I'm not even sure now that it's Marianne Williamson. We can just edit over the top.
Yeah. We'll just put a bleep over your mouth and the right name. Yeah. So how long ago was that?
I think it must have been 2018.
Okay. So a bit of, wow. So you've done all that in this amount of time, because we're 2025 now, just in case you're watching in the distant future.
And I think I'd given up. I was managing the careers team.
Yeah.
I'd moved away from the wellbeing.
Yes.
It wasn't a thing that was being talked about, and I just couldn't see. And then an opportunity came up, and then something else happened, and then I said yes, and then we developed this strategy. I asked for a team and they gave me one. I kept expecting people to say no as we went. And then we brought people together. And then I bumped into an academic who I was very friendly with and I'd worked with before. And she said, you should do a PhD. She said, I'm working in the robotics lab. And she said, Berni, I walked in and everyone just full of old white men.
Yes.
And she said, we need women, if we want the future of robotics to have empathy and compassion and be really aware, we need women in this space too. So I got accepted to do a PhD with her on coaching.
Yes.
I did this amazing thing. She had these students who wanted to see if there was a difference between a real life coach coaching students or a robot. You know the Pepper robot? The white?
Yes.
And so I was behind a wall wearing VR. Talking through Pepper, who was running a group coaching session. It was the wildest experience.
Wow.
Yeah, it was amazing.
That is so cool.
But I dropped out of the PhD in the end. She said, you actually have to do some work.
Oh, gross. Yeah. That is not what The Secret promised.
That's funny.
Yeah.
No, that you've answered my next question. Which was going to be, what hasn't gone, to plan in the last period,
Yeah. Well, but also I think it was the right decision to make because I was setting up a new team. I'd never done that before.
Yes.
I'd never operated in a senior leader space before. There was so much new stuff.
Yeah, politics and things and not to worry about, hey.
Yeah, the knives in your back.
Yeah.
And I was setting up the coaching business, and doing a PhD at the same time was just a bit too far.
Oh, yeah. And you know that there was a really pretty picture on Instagram, because that's where I get all my references from, and it was like a hopscotch, and it was like all the no's that lead to the yes you want. So it's like you have to say no, 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 and then it gets to the yes you actually
Sounds
want.
like Berni hasn't had a lot of no's. It sounds like you keep asking for things and people are like, yeah,
but
I'll
more
give you a
like
team.
saying no to the PhD allowed you to have the space
Yeah.
for something that was more important to you at the time.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
We've got to make those decisions.
Well, until now. So I'm transitioning out and
Yes.
going into setting up a business.
Which brings us
Yes. Tell us about, what does that look like? What's your 5-year plan? Tell us about your business. What's coming up?
Oh, so it's called Flux
Excellent.
with 2 X's.
Oh, okay. That's very good. I like it a lot.
We're still in the very early stages.
Yes. Okay. So an exclusive, a podcast
An
exclusive.
We're hoping to launch on the 7th of August.
Oh, great. Yes.
2 days after my next kid is due. Anyway,
Oh.
irrelevant fact.
Yeah, very good.
No, having a baby.
I just
is-
completely derailed the momentum. I apologise. 7th of August. We can talk about my baby later.
Your baby's going to be a Leo.
Are you into astrology? No. Oh, me either. I didn't get that vibe from you so far.
You know what I'm most worried about, though, Cody? You
Yeah.
cannot call your baby Flux.
Yeah. Imagine.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Or Leo.
I'll be hearing
Yeah.
from Berni.
Yeah, you will be.
Oh,
yes.
I better trademark it.
Yeah. Immediately. Careful of that one.
Okay, so 7th of August.
Yes.
Early days.
And what is it? Tell us about it.
So it's going to be online wellbeing boot camp.
Oh,
The idea is you do 10 to 15 minutes per day every day,
yes.
like an atomic habit.
Oh, you're speaking his
I wouldn't know
language.
yet.
Yeah, Cody's very into Atomic Habit because he heard someone talk about it, that whose friend had listened to it on a podcast. He hasn't read the book. He hasn't even listened to someone talk
Sounds
about it
great,
directly. But yes. But he's fired up. Wow, so wellness boot camp. So how long will they go for? 10 weeks?
10 days.
Oh, 10 days. Okay.
10 days.
Yeah.
And there'll be a series of them. So you can build it up like Lego. You might just do one, or you might do a whole bunch.
Yeah.
There's going to be other stuff like, well, we can offer coaching. We can offer, if it's an organization, we could offer consulting and workshops and face-to-face stuff.
Yes.
So if, for example, we were working with an organization, we might say to a leader and the team, so the idea is to also build connection and connectedness.
Yes.
As we're developing their literacy and skills around well-being, what they can do in the workplace.
Yes.
And it also may help to mitigate against psychosocial hazards.
Yes, which is so topical at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the psychosocial hazard stuff is looking at risk and harm.
Yes.
And we know that you get more of what you focus on.
Yes.
So we need to also make sure we're also focusing on how do we make this experience that we're having wonderfully, gloriously, inspiringly good. Not just how do we prevent or manage harm.
Yes. Oh, amazing. And then I guess also those people that if they're being coached, they've already got the foundations from doing these boot camps, that they would understand the language a bit more. It kind of makes me think that it would suddenly, the coaching would be more poignant straight away. I don't think that's the right word. But anyway, because they would have that initial language and that initial understanding, which would be so powerful.
That literacy is so powerful.
Yeah.
So we're looking at organizations and teams.
Yes.
And the other thing we haven't decided where we're going to focus first in the first instance. But the one that we're getting a little bit more excited about is for women going through major life transitions, like your wife.
Yes.
But we'll focus in the first instance on perimenopause and menopause.
Yes.
Because at the moment, so much of, and it's getting so much more airtime and airplay at the moment, but it's so much about people are telling me that they're looking to it with dread.
Yes.
And, where's the joy? What happens? Is this the end of my life? Is this what I've got to expect now forever until I die? And so we want to help women think about how they can look forward to being that wonderful, wise elder, perhaps.
Yes.
And the joy and how to find that energy and inspiration in their lives, not just the dread at the medical, the hot flushes, the weight gain and all those things.
Yes, yeah. Because I think it can be such a big thing for women, particularly if they're in more physical jobs as well, because they hear so much about the strength loss and the brain fog and all that kind of stuff, especially in like an emergency situation or, anything like that, that to then have a positive outlook at it, surely that would also change some of the way that those sort of symptoms impact them as well because they would prepare for it in a different way.
Yes.
Oh, that's so fascinating.
Are you thinking books? Are you thinking podcasting at some point, or that's further down the track? So I can see this being quite a, highly desirable thing to hear and listen to and learn about.
Yeah.
We want to have an element of irreverence and humour as well because a lot of it is so very serious.
Yes.
And, we know the healing power of humour and laughter and connection. And so, we don't want to be too serious. But maybe. I would love to. We've got so many ideas. But what we're going to start with is just developing some of these boot camps and trialing them and seeing how we go and experimenting.
Yes. Oh, that's so good. So good for the world. That's so great. And I think also just having it talked about more too, like the way that menopause has started to be talked about more too is just such a positive thing.
Which just seems like it's just a recent thing as well.
Yeah.
I think Zoe Foster-Blake, Hamish Blake's wife, is talking a lot about it at the moment.
Yes.
It's kind of nice. It's, educating people on it.
Yeah.
Even me.
Yes. Well done.
Well, yes, we actually thought we could have a boot camp for partners of people going through menopause or perimenopause to understand it.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'd have to have
what to say, what not to say.
Yeah.
Well, and also understandings. I've just been reading this book about the brain and perimenopause. So a lot of it focuses on, a lot of the literature out there focuses not on the brain.
Yes.
And it was talking about the changes that happen in certain areas of our brain that cause those things that we know about, that we associate. And when you understand that it's a function of the brain, it just changes the way you see it. It's not me being flying off the handle and, oh my God, is that woman going through the change? There she goes again. She's an angry menopausal woman.
Yeah.
Then you realise that actually the loss of estradiol, I think it is, actually impacts areas of your brain like the amygdala.
Yes.
And that it's structural, it's physical.
Yeah. And even not just for partners, but for other people in the workplace to understand that is so important as well.
Well, we lose so many women from the workplace during perimenopause. The stats are really huge.
Yes.
And they don't feel supported. And it's embarrassing, You sit in a meeting around a big meeting table with all these men and you're sweating like a demon. And you're going, is everyone looking at me thinking, she perimenopausal, we better not say anything to upset her.
And then that's so important because, particularly with women, they can be a bit behind in super. There can be that loss of financial independence as well, that if they feel more confident to stay in the workplace for longer, gosh, this is going to change the world. Yeah. I'm so excited about this. Good. Oh.
Is there anything else you're thinking for the next 5 years, business or otherwise?
Supporting my lovely partner who's here today.
Yes, we're very lucky to be doing this with a lovely audience member for the first time ever. So if you're thinking this is our best work, it's because we have the lovely Wells in the corner watching us. And we're laughing up the attention.
He has just started a Bachelor of Counselling.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So he supported me while I was doing my Masters and setting all these things up. And so now it's my turn to see how I can support Wells. So setting up my business, running the coaching and supporting Wells in his study.
That's so lovely. Cool. What a powerful couple you're going to be with all those skills, supporting the world, like counselling and... Also
just imagining, this might be too personal, also imagining the arguments, not arguments, but I feel like they'd be very understanding of each other when they do have
constructive conversations.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I feel, there's a
validating their feelings.
I'm not saying you said it like this, but what
Counselor
I heard was
yes. Oh, that's kind of beautiful though. I really like it.
I think he said to me in the early days of our relationship once, can you stop talking like a psychologist?
It'd be so hard to turn that off,
now
though.
He's going to be matching your energy.
Yes. Yeah. So apparently you couldn't stop, so now he's just meeting you there. That's very good.
Like, all right, stop it now.
Yeah.
No, you're fine.
Oh, wow. You're going to have a big 5 years.
Yeah. And I think another goal I have is I'd like an EA.
Yes. Excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're going to have to fill me in. I need more.
Executive assistant. Personal assistant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Great. That would be amazing. I think my life would.
So is there a certain thing you want to get to before you do that? Like have the business up and running and then you'll...
Money.
Yeah, okay.
But you know what? With AI, it may be that we don't have PAs or EAs anymore.
Yes.
Maybe there's AI that does it.
Yeah.
When I was about 14, I went into my mum's work and to do a summer holiday job, doing filing and stuff. And her boss came in, and he was this very tall, rather pompous Englishman.
Yes.
In South Africa, he drove a Rolls Royce.
Oh.
And he patted me on the head and said, "Nice to see you, Bernie. When you grow up, are you going to be a secretary just like your mum?" And I said, "Mr. Hills, when I grow up, I'm going to have a secretary."
Oh.
And I haven't achieved it yet.
Yeah.
And secretaries don't exist anymore, really, I don't think.
Oh, but yes, you've got to close that circle.
I have to close that circle.
Wow. Okay, so within the next...
I can see why you guys get along. I just remember Louisa talking about when you first went into workplace and you saw the HR person and you saw them hiring and firing, you're like, I want to have that power.
Yeah. I'm very status driven.
Yeah.
I can't see you being very good at firing people.
I have done it a few times. Not so much anymore, but I did do it.
Are you getting a Rolls Royce as well?
I don't want a Rolls Royce.
Okay.
No, okay. Just a secretary.
You're like, I would never drive that piece of shit.
Oh, yeah, that's beautiful. And you'd be a great boss. I mean, you have been a great boss for a long time to a lot of people.
Well, you don't know. You know how you often look at people and you think, oh, I like that person, and then you work for them and they become an absolute nightmare.
Oh, I don't believe that for you. I think you'd be an excellent boss. So the secretary would be very lucky to work for you. So calling out now, if you're looking for a secretary job. Yeah, thank you so much.
No.
That would be my honour.
Berni, this has been so much fun, but we are getting close to the end of the podcast now.
Yes.
Where can people find you on social media?
At the moment, LinkedIn is probably best.
Yes.
So it's Berni Cooper, no E on Berni.
Yes, just an I.
Just an I.
Love it.
Or growthpsychology.com.au.
Yes.
So I coach out of growth psychology.
Excellent. How special are we that we have a guest that has a LinkedIn?
Yeah, I think you might be the first guest that's ever.
Yeah. So this is how we know we've made it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Berni.
It's a pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
See you next time. Bye.